What happens if there is an issue in your marriage? Because of issues in your marriage that could be issues, people come to me and my business is booming. And I always say marriages are made in heaven, but in today's day and age, bills are paid on earth.
You're right.
You better know that prenups are illegal and invalid in India. Because when the guy knows that the finances are joint, maybe he won't be that eager to get into a new relationship.
Welcome back, and we have a great episode for you today. I'm having a two-part conversation on money and marriage. First, we're going to talk to Vandana Shah, one of India's top divorce lawyers and a YouTube favorite. The YouTube absolutely loves her. मैंने आपको राज शमानी और फाइनेंस विद शरण के शो में देखा था, and I've loved it.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How's your marriage, Maddy?
Why are you asking me that question? I mean, as far as I know, it's going great, but the way you've asked me is making me question it right now.
But what happens if there is an issue in your marriage? Because of issues in your marriage that could be issues, people come to me and my business is booming.
Is that a good thing?
I think it's a fantastic thing.
For you?
Yes, for me
Okay.
at least. And also in a way for relationships.
I'm
because
sure.
Relationships are evolving in
Right.
an ever-evolving India. You know, we are on a global platform now. Things have changed. We are putting money right in the center of conversations.
Correct.
And I like that.
I think it's about time. Like, we've been having a conversation earlier on with Radhika as well. She was constantly underlining how important it is to have conversations that were considered delicate at one point of time.
Correct.
So I'm going to ask you, can you tell me what happens when you don't have an open conversation around money as a couple?
So what happens really essentially is that we have to understand that marriage nowadays is based a lot on money. When you don't have these open conversations, like a couple, maybe a working couple together, and both of them have an income. What happens if one of them loses a job and you've not prepped for it? It could lead to the couple coming to consult me. In essence, it could lead to a divorce.
Wow.
Secondly, let's say you both have been married for 5 years. What happens if you need to have a child? And children are an essential part of our marriages, especially in India today. And what happens? Who's going to provide for the child? These are open conversations that you need to start bringing to the table. Gone are the days of our parents where they used to say, get married, baki sab, everything, God will take care of it. And I always say marriages are made in heaven. But in today's day and age, bills are paid on earth.
You're right.
So start having those conversations, because it could lead to breakup of marriages. It could lead to bitterness in marriages. Have that conversation. Bring it all out in the open. Prepare for eventualities. Have at least a 5 to 7 year money plan in your marriage. Now, as you may be aware, but prenups are illegal in India. Maybe you've read about it, but every time I tell people that prenups are illegal in India, people are like, what? I didn't know that. No, you better know that prenups are illegal and invalid in India.
Wow.
So, I mean, if I'm getting married tomorrow to somebody who's got 5,000 crores and I decide to file for divorce, I could actually go ahead and ask whatever I want to ask. That'd be a great situation for me, but not so much for the husband.
So the question I'm asking you, what is the point of having a conversation when you're not able to put it down on paper and they can be debated at any given point in time because a prenup is not legal?
So it's not only about the prenup, but as a couple together, you can have a conversation. Everything doesn't have to be moderated by lawyers. As a couple together, you can have that conversation and say, okay, this is what we have decided amongst ourselves. Now, when you come to court, it's a whole different issue.
Yeah. So do you think that money can actually bring couples closer if handled well?
Absolutely. Especially couples who are growing together. Let's say you both come from a middle class background, and then suddenly one of you gets a lot of money. Let's say you've been a part of a financial business where you have ESOPs, and suddenly that company has gone public, and that money has come together. Now, if you both had been grounded together as a couple, had that conversation that, look, these are the things we have planned. Now, this is something which is a fresh influx of funds, then in that case, of course, it is going to get you closer, but not if you've not had that conversation. What I find in those situations, and sorry, I'm not being sexist or anything, but I find that the men just end up trading their wives. They get a new wife.
Oh.
If she had a certain amount of money in her name, maybe this situation wouldn't have arisen. Because when the guy knows that the finances are joint, maybe he won't be that eager to get into a new relationship,
So, Vandana, how does one navigate this conversation in an arranged marriage? Sadly, it's normal in our country to exaggerate salaries, hide debt, and sometimes hide assets as well. People think, "ठीक है, once we are married, we'll figure it out," but I don't think they understand the consequences. Can you tell us the risk that people are taking by hiding financial information before marriage?
So you remember in the olden days, like I remember my mom and all, when they were trying to get their sisters and all that married, they would call up and find out, when from the staff working at home, kya karta hai ladka, acha kidhar jata hai, and all of that. So then you have to go to those old-fashioned methods. Let's say I get married to someone, okay? And he has hidden the fact, and it has happened. There is a case that I'm handling currently. The husband did not tell the wife that he doesn't have any assets on his name. Okay, flats in the father's name, all mutual funds and all other savings in bank in the mother's name. All that he has on his name is he's earning quite a good salary, about 15 lakhs a month. That's quite a good salary. And 15 lakhs a month is all that comes into his account, but he's got an SIP set up. So out of that, around 11 lakhs goes into the mother's mutual funds. So you're basically left with that 4 lakhs, and after a year and a half, the wife has consulted me. She wants out of this marriage. Because, these are real issues. Those things, those days, Maddy, have gone.
Yeah, even in the South Indians, if you look at it, they have a function where the bridegroom is paraded the evening before in the streets of the town that they stay in.
Oh wow!
It's called Maple, and then the marriage takes place the next day. The reason they do that is because if he has already got other commitments of marriages or affairs or anything against him, the villagers have an opportunity to come and tell the bride's family that, hey, this is his so and so and so, and the guy who's on there. So consider marriage very carefully. So it used to happen. There was a public sort of a display at that time. That's how information flowed. But I guess right now, you'll have to go with a lot of research that you can do on your own, especially in arranged marriages.
In arranged marriages.
Because you're going in.
But you'll still have to take some kind of an old-fashioned view and, call up the house and check. And I tell you, the best people who know is the people who work for you. They'll tell you the exact this thing, that this is what happens.
But is there any things that you need to put in place, without feeling awkward or sensitive about it before you get married? I mean, are there any legal things that you can actually do that you can safeguard yourself? God forbid the relationship turns sour.
I don't think you can do it before marriage, but you can definitely do it after marriage.
Right.
For example, you can have joint bank accounts, okay? You can have access to each other's, I'm not talking about a salaried couple, okay? And then I'll come to the business aspect of it. So a salaried couple, I think, should know what the other person is earning. I think that is very, very important.
Of course.
Okay. Thirdly, you must know about each other's assets. And that is a conversation that is quite easy to happen once you're married. You can't have it before marriage. That is something that your parents have to do.
Correct.
But you can have that conversation after marriage.
So it comes back to, again, how much truth you're speaking even after marriage, right?
After marriage, no, the wives can find out. This much I can tell you.
Right.
If you're hiding your income, you better be careful. Huh?
Right.
So,
I'm one of those guys who lives off my credit card, so all the money is with my wife.
Okay. Okay. So, when you start, so put all this legally. A joint account is legal and real.
Right.
So have that joint account ready.
But actually, that makes a lot of sense because Sarita and I did exactly that. I said I was an actor. And I think you'll see the sensitivity on the entire relationship when I bring it on my own, right? So I was starting off, and as an actor, and you're being hailed as a chocolate boy and all the girls and stuff like that. Obviously, the insecurity will be there for the woman, right?
Absolutely.
And having that insecurity is good enough reason for the marriage to become unstable.
Yes.
So I used to ask my parents what they did, and they said, we've decided to spend the life together. Why assume that things are going to go wrong? We're going to say things are going to go right. And they always had a joint account for everything.
Wow. Okay.
So so I said, no, that makes a lot of sense. So if Sarita is going to feel insecure every time she looks at her bank account, it's better that we look at it together and say, hey, this is a joint account.
Correct.
This belongs to both of us.
Correct.
And you are an equal signatory on it.
Correct.
So I'm going to assume that this marriage is going to work, and I'm going to say that I trust you, and I hope that you trust me. And that worked for us. To be honest, that really worked for us, because there was never a doubt about how much I'm earning or where, because I'm, basically let her handle the entire economics. So that works for me. Maybe somebody else needs to find a different level playing ground for themselves. But I agree with what you're saying, that a joint account sets in a great amount of security for the couple.
And also maybe some joint properties.
Yes.
You see, so
everything.
these are, you see, these are things that make a marriage.
I agree with you. In fact, all the cars we bought, all the houses, whatever, everything is joint.
Okay.
So, yeah. So some might frown upon it, but I'm okay with it. I'm happy with the way it is.
Yeah, so I think, like you said, it depends, water kind of finds its own level.
Yes, absolutely.
But you also need to be, I'm a divorce lawyer, so I must say, you also need to be careful.
Correct.
So that's why I said that, okay, have a third fund. And I also especially say that I speak up a lot about money now, because Maddy, when I restarted my life, because my life was almost, sort of at a very low point, I restarted my life with just 750 rupees in my bank account.
Right.
And I say that I'm lucky, I'm here, and, I had $1 billion worth of dreams, but I only start with 750 rupees. So I am very, very cautious about money.
Right.
And I mean, after that, I went on to, do a lot of things and become a divorce lawyer, and BBC covered me and so on and so forth. But I speak about money on every platform. I say, be conscious of the money. Be aware that a money can make a marriage. Be aware that a money can break a marriage.
Right.
And have your joint finances, have your joint accounts, have joint properties. Lockers, no one talks about lockers. And jewelry is really, I'm wearing jewelry.
Yeah.
I needn't wear it, I'd still look good, I think.
Yeah, of course. So let's say the other side is transparent, okay? For when we're talking about this, and your partner tells you that they are still paying off their MBA loan that that they had before they got married. Who does this loan belong to after marriage? Should you help them pay this loan off, or is it the spouse's only responsibility? How do you bifurcate that responsibility?
I would say, and I say this not here, I say it to everyone, if you come in with loans in the marriage, those loans belong to you.
Okay.
You've come into this marriage to make
on a level playing field. Yes. Absolutely, right.
So you come in, and in India, your loans are not that heavy for education.
Right.
So you've come in, you come in on a level playing field. If you have like an MBA loan and all of that, you need to take care of that.
Right.
Now, a home loan is different. You see, home loan, if you're telling that person, who's your wife in this case, that, okay, let us split the loan. You're also earning an XYZ amount of money. Let's have a joint home loan. Then she comes in as a signatory.
And an owner of the house.
And the owner of the house. I said signatory and the joint owner of the house.
Yeah.
So then I think it is fair. But your other loans, you need to pick up on your own. And I also tell everybody, please don't take unnecessary loans.
Of course.
Don't take loans for, do you know that there are loans for honeymoons?
Yes. Marriage loans, honeymoon loans, first birthday loans, and all sorts of stuff. It's really charming what people are getting.
And then, I had somebody who came to me and they said, we have to pay off the honeymoon loan, but now we are looking at a divorce. So what does one do?
Oh my God.
Such a situation.
Is that even a situation?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
They went to Mauritius, and a honeymoon loan, and before that's over.
So people change after a marriage. A lot of times your present partner may not be who you married. Have you seen cases where one person changes in their spending pattern, for instance, that leads to a divorce or disharmony in the marriage?
Absolutely, two cases. One is a hedge fund manager. He started off middle class, and they were nice middle class couple earning their own money, 50,000, 50,000. Suddenly, he got an in into one of the trading houses, and suddenly, boom! Before you knew it, I mean, currently his net worth is about 300 crores. So he went from wearing your Fab India clothes to suddenly everything is all your Chanel's and your Gucci's, and nothing is ever good enough. And the wife is still at that level because she just feels that, no, I mean, I think we should be saving this money rather than spending it on designer clothes. So
Wow.
yeah, and now he's hooked up with someone else
Oh,
who is okay with him spending that money on her, and he's filed for divorce from the wife. So, that is, see, money coming in, extreme change in lifestyle, and he's moved on. That is one case. And another similar case, investment banker suddenly went from a nice job in a multinational bank to starting his own startup, made a lot of money in that startup, wanted to get rid of his old wife, and hooked up with somebody younger than his son. And now that wife is gone. I actually filed for that divorce, and he's gotten married to the younger woman, and it's shocking because his son was of marriageable age, so he got remarried before the son. So that is just crazy. But see, that's the kind of money, and they didn't have that conversation. I just feel if they had actually sat down and he had said in both the cases, both the men, they had said that, look, we've come into this money and we'd like to make this change in our lifestyle, maybe things would have helped. Because one of them, his only complaint was, no, but my wife doesn't appreciate that I am buying her this designer clothes. And she kept on saying, but I don't want these designer clothes. I want to save up more for the children. So see, money has led to that divorce, extreme change in lifestyle, and, a divorce.
yeah, it's so true. There's a lot of debate on this topic, and I want to understand your views. Do you think merging bank accounts is a good deal? And what should be kept separate? What should be kept joint?
So I'd like to link that to the number of years of marriage.
Okay, that's
Okay.
new. Yeah.
So, so let's say you've been married for 4-5 years. I think that's the time you think that, okay, now I think by and large this marriage will work. Okay, you both have been kind of stable also in your career. You've been stable in the marriage. I think that's the time to have a third account where you put in part of your finances together. I'll never say merge all your bank accounts, put in part of your finances together. So I think 4-5 years is a good time, and that's the time.
So
also,
4-5 years you keep your accounts separate is what you're saying?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
What is the harm in that? If you both are working people, what's the harm in that? There's no harm in that. It's not a question of money. I know it arises a lot of emotions in us,
Right.
but one don't have to be so emotional about it that, because we don't have a joint bank account, you don't love. I still don't have a joint bank account, incidentally, with my husband.
Right.
But that's because I'm a divorce lawyer. So,
So you're saying first 5 years you can
5
have
years.
independent, and then you start a joint account.
start a joint account.
Okay.
Because that's the time you'll also start planning for a child. And a child is a big commitment.
Right.
And then by and large, if you've been married for about 10 years, your child is about 5-6 years old, I think then you can merge at least 50% of your joint bank accounts.
Okay.
But I also advise women to continue working, have your own separate income, regardless
I
of
think that's
whatever.
very wise advice, yeah.
And also once you continue working, keep some money stashed away. I think our mothers used to always, our mothers they always had money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
And I always felt, and I still do, women are last in, first out, because whenever there's a crisis, we are sort of said first out in the
Yeah.
sense that you sell your gold, and whenever there is a boom time, we are kind of last in, because everybody said, no, it's okay, I don't have to buy you that.
Correct.
So, I mean, but that's a woman thing. But I just feel that, keep some money of your own always. And advise that even to the guys.
Yeah.
Keep some money of your own always. And also, I spoke about this on one of the podcasts. Be careful of who you're nominating, because that nomination, if you're going through a divorce, it may actually become a hassle, because some nominations you cannot change, like in an insurance policy. You cannot change that nomination.
Right.
So if you're going through a divorce, that nominee remains. So if anything happens
That's
to you,
very important.
isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it will go to the ex-wife.
Understood.
And also be a little careful even in your flats. See, flats, Maddy, in Mumbai, what are the rates of the flats is just like some astronomical figures, So be careful who you're nominating. I always say that, I may still be a little old-fashioned. I say, try nominate your mother if she's there, so that in case there is a big fight and there is a divorce, you don't have to give up that flat. Because nomination changing also may become a hassle. Although hyper-technically speaking, it shouldn't. But it does become a hassle.
Wow.
So coming back to your question, when's the time? I think you said, how do we get all these funds together? I said, it's based on your time.
Right.
You're married for 5 years, okay, make this one change.
Yeah.
You're married for 10 years, make this one change. But always keep money also with you separately.
That's, I think, very sound and very wise advice. Thank you. Finally, I'm sure that there are people watching who are considering marriage. If you were to give them a financial hygiene checklist, say sorting out these issues, 5-6 areas of your financials before you get married, what would it be?
So it would be try and find out whatever you can about the family. Ask in the neighborhood about the family, because your neighborhood is the best check.
Wow.
For finding out about the family.
What if they're from a different country?
Oh, you can find out. Indians are there everywhere. And we talk to everybody. So you can find out. That should not stop you from finding out. Secondly, have the conversation about money in case your parents are hesitant to discuss it. You are two 25-year-olds getting married. You both can have the conversation about money. Thirdly, when you're talking about money, plan out your future, at least keeping 5 to 7 years in mind.
Right.
By that time, even your marriage will stabilize. Okay. The fourth conversation you need to have is, what happens if one partner A loses his job or wants to stop working, or says that I want to explore that, okay, I'm a lawyer, but actually I want to be an actor. So after 5 years, I want to stop working.
Nice.
Have that conversation.
Correct.
Before you get married.
Correct.
Fifth, also,
because one person's decision affects the entire wedding and the marriage, right? Yeah.
And fifth, have a certain set expectation. Okay. So maybe I like designer clothes. Okay. Put it out there. No one can put me in jail because I like designer clothes.
Right.
But put it out there. It may be a rankling issue for someone else.
Right.
Maybe you like to collect cameras.
Right.
Each camera, let's say you buy a really expensive camera for some 10,000 pounds.
Right.
And your wife may say, what is this?
Right.
So put it out there that, look, hey, this is what we'll spend by and large. But these are also my passions, so maybe I need to this thing. So everybody is aware.
Correct.
And my biggest advice is, please, for heaven's sake, don't spend like $1 billion on a marriage.
On the wedding, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Please go to a registration office. It is available online.
Yeah.
Please pay 50 rupees or 100 rupees and get married, because use that money.
I agree with you.
For something else. Use that.
Oh, actually, yeah. That could actually, sometimes I've seen that expenditure actually getting in the way of a marriage.
Oh my God.
I actually seen a wedding get in the way of a marriage.
Yes.
So the next question is, how often do financial decisions relating to kids end up in divorce?
I think quite often, and especially in today's day and age. Where I have seen a lot of older marriages ending up in divorce because the mother usually wants to send the child to America to study. Father doesn't have money for that. And then there is this whole conversation around it. You gave money for your sister's marriage, you are paying for your mother's illness, but you don't care about the child to send the child to America. So I think, yes, financial decisions and disparity in those financial decisions, it leads to a
Well, how do
breakdown
you
of
safeguard
marriages.
yourself on something like this? Because a decision that is going to happen 20 years later,
You can't.
you can't, right?
You can't. You know, I mean,
You have
for
to earn
every
the respect to be able to understand each other's decision making.
absolutely, and you also have to say you can't hold it against the
Mother.
mother, and you can't hold it against
The father.
the father, and also you can't tell your husband that don't look after his mother. She is also his mother.
Right.
You know, so it's, and especially in Indian culture, our mothers are gods.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, our
And there's
parents
nothing
are
wrong
gods.
with that,
There's
it's,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Well,
You
I've
know?
seen this happen a lot in the Western culture where the man is accused of being a mother's boy and not wanting to get married.
No, that's in Indian culture.
That's
we
what
say
I'm saying.
mama's boy.
No, I'm saying that
Yeah.
I've seen it in a lot of stories when I'm abroad with the Indians there, where the women don't prefer guys who are mama's boys.
Absolutely. No one likes a mama's boy.
That's what I'm saying,
It's
yeah.
not like the top of the mind awareness to get married to a mama's boy.
Right.
But
the boy can't help
you
it.
want your son to be a mama's boy.
There you go.
So you see, that is the irony.
That is
but that's
the
marriage for
dichotomy
you.
of the whole thing, absolutely.
You know.
As we wrap up today's episode, remember that managing finance in a marriage isn't just about the money. It's about trust, communication, and shared goals. When you have an open and honest conversation, set clear expectations and work together towards financial stability. You're not only strengthening your financial future, but also nurturing a stronger, more resilient relationship. So please take this as a sign to have the important conversation with your partner. Thank you for watching.